Final score, Leicester City 1, Wrexham 1, and that was a very impressive showing by Wrexham, wasn't it? You know, people seem to be constantly surprised at the fact that we've got a decent side, but yeah, the Leicester fans booing them off at the end, booing them when Broadhead nearly scored the winner in the 90th minute. But we looked like a solid side to me, and I thought this was a really good away performance against a high quality Leicester side. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. Leicester should go up this season if they don't get points deductions, and you could just see the depth, the quality in their squad and the quality of their play. But our defensive work was superb, and even though they had a hell of a lot of the ball, they had a hell of a lot of possession in our half, we never really defended too deep. We held that mid-block. The midfield were disciplined in front of the defence, and it was a terrific performance without the ball. Only opened up really by an exquisitely conceived goal by Leicester, and then, well, from the outset really we were making more chances and better chances. Eventually we got our reward, where I thought this was a very good performance which could easily have ended with 3 points. And it must be said, if we got the 3 points, we'd be 1 point behind Leicester, which, you know, something to conjure with, isn't it? Wrexham started with the same team that played on Saturday, and straight away that pattern was formed. Leicester completely dominating possession, but Wrexham looking comfortable and then hitting them on the breakaway. In fact, the first chance came to us, and it was very, very nicely conceived. 7th minute, we set up for a short goal kick, and then Okonkwo sent everybody up the pitch. Leicester retreated with them. Cleworth started to go but didn't go, and so he was all on his own. Simple short goal kick. He fed a nice ball forwards for Kabore, and, well, his link-up play with Windass was sensational. He pops it inside to Windass. Windass feeds it first time into his path, and of course Kabore is just herring away, completely taking on Thomas, bursts past him, and then pulls the ball back to the far post. Kiefer Moore, about 15 yards out, takes it on his chest and tries to drill it back across goal, but puts it wide. But it was a real warning to Leicester. Although, to be fair, within a minute, they've responded really well. A real pattern of play. Leicester trying to pass their way through, and had such good technical players and such good movement, and they were trying to drag us around. But we were very disciplined, and in and around the D, there was very little space. But on this occasion, they got a little bit of a lucky ricochet. Dacod over Reed feeding it in for Jordan James, who didn't take it cleanly, but Dacod over Reed was very sharp and latched onto the loose ball, pivoted right of centre just outside the box and hit a terrific snapshot which hit the outside of the post and bounced behind. Okonkwo might have had it covered, but it would have to be a good save to stop it. It was a great drive by him. And that pattern continues. Wrexham, in the space of 3 minutes, opened Leicester up a few times, 3 times, to beg your pardon. 15th minute, Windass with a great ball down the line. Kabore surging forwards, drills it into the goalmouth from the goal line. Vestergaard doing really well to beat Moore to it at the near post about 3 yards out. A couple of minutes later, another great ball by Windass to pick out Kabore. Kabore carries it forwards, and this time he squares it because Windass has continued his run, finds Windass in the D. He hits it first time and doesn't get it right, puts it over the bar. He had time to take a touch. You can see why he did it first time with this technique. You back yourself, surely. But he didn't quite get it right. But then there's another opportunity, a massive opportunity a minute later. Long ball by Wrexham for a change. Moore flicking the ball on. And Hamza Chowdhury, who was playing as an inverted right back, intercepts, simple back pass, and he underhits it. And Lewis O'Brien, who is everywhere, hares after it, gets there first ahead of the keeper Stolarczyk. He's one-on-one on his own in the box down the left channel. He just makes a little bit of a hash of it, I guess, once he's got there. Stolarczyk's got pretty close and spread himself. O'Brien's either got to try and nick it past him, I think, and hope that he doesn't run out of pitch, or maybe prod it underneath him, a la Kieran Durkin at Old Trafford. and he didn't either, and made a pretty poor contact and just scuffed it well wide. Leicester carve another chance out just before the half hour from a set piece. It's a really nicely conceived set piece as well. Winks driving it along the floor to the near post, turned beautifully round the corner by Fatawu, and De Cordova suddenly is 15 yards out all on his own with a clear strike on goal, or so it appears, but Clough responds really quickly, reads the danger, hurls himself at De Cordova and makes an excellent block. However, in the 36th minute, Leicester do get their attempt at precise build-up play right, and it's a beautifully worked goal. The Leicester fans were on Patson Daka's back throughout the game and were cheering when he was taken off. I mean, I like Daka, although I accept that over his Leicester career the numbers haven't stacked up as I think you'd hoped they would. But although in many ways he was the least precise of the attacking players in terms of passing and link-up play, and he did put a few balls astray, he gets it wonderfully right with this goal. He drops off initially to receive, and James and De Cordova make runs in, so they're looking to disrupt Wrexham's shape, and he's looking to make space. It doesn't happen on this occasion, but he pops the ball off, and Leicester recirculate it again. And then when the ball is fed across into this edge of the day, James now has just dropped back out again. I beg your pardon. Daka again has just dropped back out again. James sees him, feeds him in. Brunt has stepped up with him and looks to try and just nip in. Can't quite manage it because it's a lovely crisp pass by James, and it invites Daka to play it first time, and he does it beautifully, playing it round the corner again. Perfect weight, perfect accuracy. James runs onto it, one-on-one with Okonkwo, drills it into the bottom right corner. Okonkwo managed to get a hand to it. He's unlucky. It would have been an excellent save, but it was a really nicely conceived and perfectly executed goal. And again, the quality we're coming up against in the Championship. These players are high quality and they can do things like that. The beautiful thing is we've got a lot of players now who can do that as well. And soon afterwards, we make another big chance. A tremendous ball by Sheaf from his own half, feeding it around the back of the Leicester defence. Thomas maybe should have intercepted it, but just gets a weak touch on it. And Windass is one-on-one with the keeper. But as he pulls it back onto his right foot, Vestergaard responds really well. And Windass loses balance a bit. Windass does get the shot off, but doesn't get it off properly, and Vestergaard makes it a good block. A couple of minutes later, could have come a moment which would allow Leicester to really take control. Again, it's from a corner, James whipping it in, Vestergaard getting up about 10 yards out, but can't properly control his header. He's under a lot of pressure and heads it over. And the second half starts, well, firstly with Luke Thomas taken off because Kabore has been just going past him for fun. Thomas is on a yellow card. He's also made that error that could have led to an equaliser, and so he's off at half-time. Christiansen comes on, and in the first, half hour or so quarter hour, 20 minutes of the half, it's very one-sided. Attack against defence. Leicester are able to monopolise possession in a way they didn't even in the first half. But Wrexham's defence is rock solid. I've made no notes until the 61st minute in that second half, and that is that Wrexham make changes, and Phil Parkinson gets his substitutions completely right. He brings 5 players on. His timing of it and his utilisation of those substitutes is absolutely spot on. So the first couple of changes, just freshening up. Matty James comes on for Ben Sheaf. And also Nathan Broadhead comes on for Windass, who'd had a long spell of treatment at the end of the first half after a challenge where Jeremy Monger had trodden his ankle. I've got to say, the Leicester fans are all going mad at the ref because they think it's a foul by Windass. When you look at the replay, firstly, it most definitely isn't. Secondly, it's all completely accidental on both parties. And thirdly, it's the sort of thing that shows why VAR isn't great, because I bet you if that happened in the Premier League, they would have analysed it frame by frame, millimetre by millimetre, and sent Monger off, because he does essentially go over the ball and tread on Windass's ankle, but there's no intent at all. It only happens because Windass is able to get a foot in and nick it from Monger. The ref gets it completely right, just says nothing has happened here, carry on. But I bet you, they'd be pouring over it in Stockley Park and giving us more things to gripe about on on Match of the Day. I don't know. Anyway, so Windass comes off. Broadhead instantly is giving energy, and Matty James is instantly impressive in midfield. And the game changes at that point, because we now start going back to how we were managing to play in the first half. We're getting closer to Leicester, and we're not allowing them to pen us in, and we start to cause them problems. Indeed, a couple of minutes after the change, there's a moment of danger. Dobson does really well driving in midfield. Broadhead takes over, and he goes surging up to the edge of the area, feeds it to Moura, helps it quickly onto Kabore, who cuts inside on his left foot and tries a shot and loses his balance, and it's an air shot and the danger is gone. But it's an indication that the game has changed now, and we start to involve in more cut and thrust. We make another couple of changes with 17 minutes left. Wing backs refreshed this time. McLean comes on the left for Longman, who wasn't able to offer much going forwards, but did really well defensively against Fatawu. And then on the right hand side, even though Kabore was causing all sorts of problems, we're asking a lot of him as he's tearing up and down that flank. He did take a heavy knock on Saturday, so he's given a break. Ryan Barnett comes on, and those two wing backs do well to add a bit of drive as well. In the 77th minute, though, the equaliser comes, and it's down initially to the drive of Lewis O'Brien, who has been excellent in midfield. Long ball knocked over the top of Leicester's defence. O'Brien chases typically. It's him against Yannick Vestergaard, so the Danish international, 6'6", hulk of a beast of a centre-back, who has made a living of shoulder barging Premier League and international strikers off their feet and winning the ball back. But this time he comes up against Lewis O'Brien, and O'Brien does it to him. They go shoulder to shoulder, and it's Vestergaard who ends up on the floor. And O'Brien, who suddenly has got the ball around the back of the defence, he feeds a good ball into Broadhead, who's making a diagonal run towards the near post, and from 15 yards, what a finish from Broadhead. He just takes it first time and whips it across the keeper and inside the far post. Brilliant first league goal for him. And Wrexham are cock a hoop and start going for the winner. A couple of minutes later, another moment of danger. James with a terrific switch over to the right hand side to find Barnett. Barnett doesn't waste time. He takes a touch and he whips the ball in because players are attacking the goal mouth. It's partly cleared by Vestergaard, but falls 20 yards out to Broadhead, who tries an instant shot, hits it into the ground, and it rears up, and he's not quite been able to control it, and it goes off target. But it's a real warning. And then another bit of freshening up. 7 minutes left. Sam Smith comes on for Kiefer Moore, who, as Andy Morrell pointed out in the commentary, just looked totally spent. He'd emptied himself, and this Wrexham team works like crazy. Smith comes on, and he's immediately occupying the centre-backs. He looked very lively. With 3 minutes left, Leicester have one last chance to try and achieve something. It's a corner by Jordan Ayew, who's come on and is looking threatening. He whips it beyond the far post. Vestergaard is up there. He's won a couple of these from beyond the far post. He knocks it back, and Wout Faes from about 6 yards out, but not facing goal, tries to do a David Platt in Italian 90 and hook it in, and it's a difficult finish, and he can't keep it down. It goes comfortably over. And then in the 90th minute, as I said before, Leicester fans infuriated when we nearly get the winner. It's O'Brien again in a shoulder-to-shoulder against a Danish international defender. Cleworth knocks it towards the corner flag. It looks overhit, although I've got to admit, more from my commentary vantage point than when I've looked at the actual footage. O'Brien goes shoulder-to-shoulder with Christensen. Same result. Dane on the floor. O'Brien round the back. He feeds the cross in. This time it's defended partially. Defender gets a touch, it pops up in the air. Sam Smith is really alert to race away from goal, get to it first, and put a little stooping header back to Broadhead. And Broadhead tries to rip it from the edge of the box inside the top right corner and puts it about a yard wide. It's a real chance, and he struck it cleanly, but just got his bearings slightly wrong. Cue the booing, which is replicated at the final whistle. Leicester frustrated, but the fact of the matter is this Wrexham team is doing things, and we look very, very good away from home, don't we? This is deeply pleasing, and that squad depth that Phil Parkinson talked about during this busy period came to fruition, because although he started with the same team, the 5 substitutes really freshened things up in the second half and turned the game in our favour. A great performance by us, and a terrific point against the side who 9 years ago were the Premier League champions. 8 years ago were in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We're going places. I'm still enjoying this ride. With a final score of Leicester City 1, Wrexham 1, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.